Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday night. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk MLB. Not just on Let's Talk Sports, but also on the Rec Room Sports Hub as well. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. Alan Perales, of course, joined, of course, by former minor league baseball player, current hitting coach at Coastal Bend, Texas, Mr. Jonathan Grishman. Jonathan, how you doing, sir?
Cold. Even down here in South Texas, we got hit with a lot of this cold weather and whatnot. So I'm trying to stay warm as best I can, even down here in South Texas. So, but other than that, man, I'm doing good. Doing good. It's baseball season for us. We had bad weather last weekend, so we didn't get to play. So we have our home opener tomorrow. So I'm very giddy, I'm very excited, I'm very happy. Looking forward to that. But again, cold.
One of your players, I assume?
He was last year's players, one of our players. He was one of the big guys, one of the guys who always commented and watched everything. So good to see Brandon still kind of chugging along and whatnot. Haven't heard from you in a while, Brandon, but I hope you're doing good, bud.
Very cool. Very cool. So obviously we had a lot to talk about. There's been some more talking within the players and the owners, of course. We kind of heard about a couple things that each side is kind of thrown at the other here. I mean, obviously it's not the big one we're all focused on, which is, the salary cap and whatnot, but little things here and there thrown around. And then we had a couple big trades. We had a couple big trades over the weekend. Mackenzie Gore traded to Texas, which threw me completely off guard. And then Freddie Peralta, we talked about him last week. Freddie Peralta getting traded from Milwaukee, so and another surprise trade. So I guess we'll start with there. Freddie Peralta, we kind of figured this was going to happen. This has been going on for a couple months now. They've been talking about, Peralta's probably going to get traded. We don't know where he's going to get traded to, but the deal finally gets done. Freddie Peralta's on the move. From a Brewers perspective, good move.
I'm a little torn because again, I feel like the price, the price tag on Peralta set by the Brewers was a lot higher than what they got for him, and because that was a big thing. It was like there was just so much prospects, or at least prospect dollar that they were asking for, in wanting some top end prospects. I know that was a big talk about the Braves being interested in Peralta, and the Brewers are kind of pushing to get a couple of at least two of their top pitching prospects. And then they turn around and they go to the Mets. I'm pulling up like what the full deal was again, just to make sure I'm correct on it, but it was, I know Luis Angel Acuna, Ronald Acuna's little brother. He was part of the deal. He's going to the White. He was going to the White Sox deal with Luis Robert.
Yeah, that was the other. One that threw me off guard too. So
that was the other one. So I'm trying to make sure. I'm going to pull up real quick. I want to make sure I'm at least correct on the trade itself, on the deal. But I mean, if you're the Brewers, though, you're kind of you're in a little bit of a limbo because you understand that the division is still winnable for you. You kind of sold off every year over the last 2 to 3 years, and you still managed to find a way to win the division. So you're cutting payroll, adding prospects, getting younger, getting cheaper, still getting good, and be able to go and compete and win the NL Central. But at some point, though, that does come back to bite you in the butt. And I don't know if this deal is going to be what sets them off, because we've seen, like, they made trades. They traded Corbin Burns before. They moved on from Devin Williams last year. They've been able to move on some guys that were key contributors in the rotation, and they still find ways to win. That culture that has been set forth in Milwaukee when it was Craig Counsell there, and then and now with Pat Murphy, they have built a good system in that organization to no matter who's there or whatnot or how they go about their business, they are still competitive and they still win games. So I think that's kind of what that's just the MO. Like, it doesn't matter if who we have, but we're going to compete. But at some point, though, when you pay the piper, it's going to catch up to you. And I don't know if this is the year that's going to catch up, especially with the Cubs continuing to, add to what they're trying to do and continue to be a little bit more competitive with some of the moves they've made. But I think, though, from what I've seen, a lot of it is the return wasn't as high that they were hoping to get for quite a while with Peralta. And if that's the case, if you sold low, that's not good in the direction that you've been going in and what you've been doing and really winning trades that you didn't necessarily think you were going to win, and you're going to kind of get yourself taking a step back. So I think it's just more that they trust their culture that's been built in Milwaukee for so long that no matter, they just say, hey, no matter who's here, we're going to go compete and we're going to win. But that can only last, especially if you didn't get the prospects, you didn't get the players in return, especially for that. But at the same time, at some point, it does catch up. I don't know if it's this year, but it's going to start catching up to the Brewers here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Tobias Myers is one of the players that the Brewers got back. The notable one, of course, they got more out of the deal, but like you said, the not saying it's a lopsided trade by any means, but it depends on how Freddie Peralta does in a New York Mets uniform in 2026 to get that, the WAR stat or whatever. Wins above. Is it the WAR stat that they calculate that on, or is it? I know there's like a certain stat that they grade these trades on, like throughout.
More times than not, WAR is one of the biggest analytical statistics that is based off of trade grades and how they view it, and then further, and then they base off it now, and then based off the through the season, and then next year and whatnot. So that is one of the analytical statistics that is mainly used, and I think there's one more, but off the top of my head I can't think of it, but I know WAR is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Again, I didn't really see it coming, or at least to the Mets anyway. We kind of figured Freddie Peralta was getting traded, and to Danny's question, maybe the Dodgers were in play for that. But the Mets now, what does this do for their rotation? Obviously this kind of gives them the ace that they needed in Freddie Peralta. But what does this do for the Mets going forward?
It does help their rotation, because we were talking about it. I think we talked about it not too long, earlier in the offseason. The New York Mets pitching staff at that time could be viewed as one of the worst starting rotations. Not just probably in the NL, but you could make the argument throughout baseball, because they didn't have an ace. They didn't have an arm that you can just say, I'm going to give the ball to that's going to keep winning streaks alive, or I'm going to give the ball to end losing streaks. And that's what an ace is supposed to be for you. Peralta, do we classify Freddie Peralta as a top 7, top 5, top 7 pitcher in the National League? I don't know. Because I know there's been some times where it's been up and down. He has been good. Last year he was really good. Is that where he's going to be continuing through his career? That's to be determined. So it's a gamble that the Mets are making right now on the continuance of what Freddie Peralta has brought from when he was with the Brewers to going and doing in New York. Now we have to bring up the question as well, because no matter if it's Queens or Bronx, and especially how the fan base in Queens with the Mets has really been going on with treating this team, especially since Steve Cohen has been the owner. You have to perform. There's pressure, whether you are in the Bronx or whether you're in Queens. So if you don't answer the bell and be the ace that the Mets are hoping you to be, you are going to feel the wrath of the New York fan base. And that's a question we kind of said. The last time we talked about Devin Williams in New York, he didn't handle it really well when the Brewers traded him to the Yankees. You see guys don't handle that setting all too well. So I think that's a legitimate question mark, more so than just the talent level that Peralta brings, and more so than just the continuance of how he performs. It's more of, are you able to handle New York City as is? And if you struggle even just a minimal amount, that fan base will be rabid enough to go after you. Again, Queens, that Mets fan base, they're starving to continue to be the back page of in New York. They're wanting the headlines. They're wanting the spotlight. They're trying to take it all away from the Yankees more and more every year. That's essentially what's been more valuable to them than really anything else. But that is a value to that fan base. Where do you provide us the top storyline in the city? Do you provide us the ability to be talked about above the New York Yankees? Well, you have to win. You have to win to do that. So does Peralta bring that to the New York Mets? Yeah, he's going to bring that side where it's an improvement. But is it enough? That's the big question mark, I think, more than anything else. Is Freddie Peralta to this rotation enough? Looking at it right now, Freddie Peralta, Nolan McLean, Sean Manaea, Clay Holmes, David Peterson, Kota Senga, and Jonah Tong are essentially right now your rotation going into spring training. I'm not scared of that rotation. If I'm the Braves and Phillies, I'm not afraid of that because I can throw Chris Sale and Spencer Strider and Spencer Schwellenbach, against the 1, 2, 3 of that and be really happy and really good. If you're the Phillies, you have Christopher Sanchez, you have Aaron Nola, you have Luzardo that you can say 1, 2, 3 is better than the Mets 1, 2, 3. So it definitely ups the value of this rotation in New York by adding Peralta, but there's still question marks to be had. Do you have enough to compete in this division with really good pitchers there? So I don't know if that's enough. But again, Peralta does make the conversation a little bit better if you're a Mets fan.
Mm-hmm. And they also did bring in Bo Bichette early last week as well. So they've been kind of making a little bit of moves here and there. But yeah, if anything, I'm looking at that pitching staff. I was like, they needed to do something. Yes, it helps, but right now they don't stack up to teams in their own division. They don't stack up. I really don't think they stack up to Chicago or, especially not the Dodgers right now. It's a step in the right direction, but they might need another arm if they can.
Well, just again, they added Devin. You're talking about Devin Williams a second ago, and I just remembered he's now in Queens with the Mets too. So having somebody, I guess, that's kind of familiar with Peralta can help a little bit more. But at the same time, that he didn't have success in New York last year with the Yankees, he can maybe share some insight on it. But no, this pitching staff as a whole, the rotation as a whole, there is a lot to be desired about. Mm-hmm. And if the Nationals didn't make their trade, I could almost say that the Nationals had a better rotation than the New York Mets did. Even with adding Freddie Peralta, I would have put the Mets probably the 4th best rotation in the NL East.
That's interesting. I kind of like what the Nationals are doing. Well, other than, and we'll get to it here in a minute, but the trade they just did. But yeah, I think more so you see the Mets seem to be shoring up their lineup more than they are their rotation. Because we mentioned Bo Bichette earlier. We mentioned, last week we talked about Marcus Semien getting traded. And then now another move that they made, trading for Luis Robert from the Chicago White Sox. Robert now is their dedicated, seems to be their dedicated center fielder going forward. Again, it seems like they're beefing up their lineup more than they are their rotation at this point.
Yeah, but again, as a Braves fan, I'm not looking at Luis Robert being added as a oh my god move. Oh, this is a scary move. You're talking about a 220 hitter, career 259, 260 hitter. And I understand he played for really bad New York, really bad Chicago White Sox teams. I understand that completely. Historically bad teams. But even then, you still have to perform, and he hasn't performed. So are we really going to say that he's a difference? Like adding him is going to be a big difference maker to this team? No, it's not. Like the power's not even. He had 14 home runs last year, 382 at bats, 14 home runs, 53 RBIs with a 661 OPS. That's not mind blowing numbers. So it does create a little bit of a buzz it does create a little bit of excitement, for the Mets. But can he really produce like you hope that, and what we kind of thought the projection of him was, the potential of what he could bring? Maybe being in the lineup with Juan Soto does help him more because, again, he didn't have protection in Chicago. Maybe that's something that he has a little bit. He has not necessarily protection, but you're now looking at it and saying, I can get my pitches better because I have Juan Soto in the lineup with me. I have Bo Bichette in the lineup. I have Francisco Lindor. I mean, this is gonna be the best lineup he's played for throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
But does he improve himself enough to really warrant that this is a good move for the Mets? I don't know. And I agree that they're loading up. They're trying to readjust how their lineup is, but it's not. I don't think it's enough still. If you're talking about the position player wise now, the lineup wise, they're still the third best team in the division. They're behind the Braves and they're behind the Phillies.
Because now you're throwing Bichette at third because you still have Lindor. You still have Lindor and Semien.
Yeah, you traded for Marcus Semien earlier in the offseason, and then you bring Bichette to play third base, which Bichette, I don't know how many times he's played third base before in his career. So are you thinking that's going to be a good move? He wasn't a great shortstop defensively, and you're going to put him in a hot corner position where he's going to have to really play in reaction defense. I don't know if that is the right move, and maybe you're just sacrificing the defensive side because he does bat 300. He does hit 15 to 20 home runs. He's an RBI machine, 94 RBIs. Playing him, maybe batting him in front of Lindor. With at the same time having Soto batting 4, Luis Robert batting 5, maybe creating a little bit more depth in your lineup. That's a possibility, and it just creates and then at that point it does say, okay, the first 4 or 5 hitters we have something now. We have a little bit of production that could be based off it, but there's still question marks. Mm-hmm. Even though you brought big names and you sold the tabloids that way, there's still question marks on this team that haven't been answered. And I don't know if we're going to get the answers in spring training. Obviously, I don't think we're going to get the answers. We won't really know how this lineup looks until June. By that point of saying, yeah, this is a good team and everything's kind of clicking and looking really good, or they are who, is to quote the late Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were.
We let them off the hook. I mean, if you needed an outfield that bad, why did you get rid of Brandon Nimmo? Like, that just continues. Like, I don't know. The Mets confuse me sometimes.
Well, Nimmo was a part of the trade for Semien. Is that he went?
Yeah.
He went. So it was more about the financial side of Semien's contract to help the Rangers get out of it and make it more balanced. It wasn't necessarily like we wanted to move on from Brandon Nimmo. It was just like, well, hey, the financial side makes sense if we throw in Nimmo and kind of eat that part of the deal of Semien's contract to where it does help Texas get rid of Semien. So Nimmo was more of a payroll casualty more than, hey, we're ready to move on from him.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, their loss is arcane, though. I'll take it. Well, real quick before we get into the Texas one, though, did see that yesterday the Giants brought in Harrison Bader, a veteran outfielder, to help them out. Haven't been really that big of an offseason for the Giants, really. Like, they've been kind of quiet to me anyway. Like, I don't know. It just seems like when the Giants are kind of quiet, I know Buster Posey's done a great job so far, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on the Giants right now. They could be a sleeper team in the National League this year, but I don't know. I don't know if they've done enough in the offseason to warrant that, though.
No, and I agree. I think this team is still very much far away from being contenders in this division. Obviously, again, you're going against the Dodgers, and what the Dodgers have been doing every year for the last 4 years does make things a little difficult for you, especially if you're not spending the same amount of money, or not even necessarily spending the same amount of money, but even getting the same atmosphere the Dodgers are in. it makes things harder. We saw what the Padres were able to try to do when they spent some money, and still was not enough to catch the Dodgers. So if you're not spending what you need to spend, then where do you go to keep a talented roster? Now, again, you do have Devers, who you're going to have for the full season for the first time this year, and I think that brings up a little bit of an easier road for you. And again, he's get continuity with you with the team and whatnot. Patrick Bailey, another year with you, and kind of supplanting himself as the leader of this team. But then you look at it and say, Matt Chapman coming in, and we haven't really seen him to be all that great in a long time. Really, even his A's days were good days, but they weren't great. He wasn't considered the top overall third baseman. He was a top defensive third baseman, but the bat was still kind of up and down. And now you put him in a big ballpark like in San Francisco, where it may be, it just doesn't know if it's going to be a great fit for him. Willie Adames, up and down, again, kind of the same thing. Like, he's not replicated what he was doing in Milwaukee all that much from last season. Again, I think there was a lot more hype for him than really the production that what you expected him for. You weren't going to really see him be a 280 hitter like he was his last year in Milwaukee. He's a 244 career hitter. He batted 225 for you. He did hit 30 home runs for you, which that was, a real bonus that you got out of him. But what other production can he bring forth for you? Well, it's not much. 30 home runs and 87 of them were RBIs, 12 stolen bases, 739 OPS. Like, that's for what you're hoping for the money you spent to bring him in. You're underwhelmed by that. So does he turn it around and kind of reignite a little fire in him and to kind of elevate himself in his career? That's to be determined right now, and I don't know if that's really who he is. So you've got guys who underperformed, overhyped, and are just not to the level that you hope to be as a division contender. And Harrison Bader's no different in that. I don't think Harrison Bader's a difference maker for you. It does mean that you have a little bit more flexibility where you can kind of keep Jung Ho Lee in right field potentially. Be able to utilize or in left field and be able to use Bader and center field, and you kind of keep a little bit of flexibility with your outfield that way. But again, at the same time, is Bader a difference maker to your lineup to help you compete with the Dodgers? Is he a difference maker to help you compete with the Padres? I don't think so. I think there's still a lot to be desired for this team. The pitching is what helps you out. You have good pitching with Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Adrian Hauser, Landon Rupp. Like, you have good arms in this staff, but the bats have got to do a little bit more. And I think that's what the Giants are hoping for with a full year of Devers and another year with Adames to kind of get himself going. But there's still question marks that is it talented enough of a roster to contend with the Dodgers? I don't think that's the case.
To be honest, I don't even know if they can contend with the Padres or Diamondbacks at this point, depending on what these two teams do down the line. They might end up not saying they're going to be in Rockies territory. I don't think they'll even get close to Rockies territory, but they'll be. I think they'll be the fourth place team in the West this year, if I'm being truly honest.
And very well could. Because I think at the same time, you're looking at some of I think the difference right now, as far as for the Diamondbacks, is the pitching side of things is not where you kind of thought or at least where they had was Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly being a 1-2 punch, obviously, and Brandon Pfaadt. So with Gallen's not there, you're hoping Eduardo Rodriguez can kind of be maybe a top end rotation guy. Again, the problem with him is inconsistency. Being a 5.02 ERA, 99 win-loss record, 1.54 WHIP. That's not great numbers. Merrill Kelly, you brought back when he was in free agency. He's essentially going to be your de facto ace, I think, of this team, and that's not good. So if you had to compare and contrast, at least for the pitching side of things, well, the Giants have better pitching. They're a little bit further along than you are on the pitching side, and I think with Gabriel Moreno. You have Ketel Marte. You do have Arenado coming in. You made a trade for Arenado to play third base for you. Geraldo Perdomo. Maybe you're right even. Maybe a step behind the Giants on the lineup wise. So on paper, I think the Giants are better because they do have the better pitching and there are some better players. But again, we've seen the Diamondbacks can win even with less than what they have. So it wouldn't be a shock to what you say. The Diamondbacks would be third in this division ahead of the Giants, but more likely it should be the Giants ahead of the Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it should be. Like you said, on paper, the Giants, stack up better than the Diamondbacks do. But we've seen the Diamondbacks in years past, take teams with less and take them all the way to the World Series. So, speaking of that 2023 World Series, nice little segue there. My team, the Texas Rangers, pulled a shocking move that I did not expect to see them do. Mackenzie Gore traded to Texas for I believe 5 or 6 prospects. I think it's 5, including our number 2 overall in-house prospect. Not a top 100 pick, but as long as it wasn't Sebastian Walcott, I'm okay. Yeah, Mackenzie Gore now added to a rotation of healthy Jacob deGrom, maybe healthy Nathan Eovaldi, an up and coming Jack Leiter. You got Lutz, who you brought in, Jacob Lutz, who you brought in, I believe, in this offseason as well. And then they're sliding Kumar Rocker in that conversation as well. So, what do you think of the move? Well, I'm a little confused on why Washington did it in the first place, because it seems like they're just continuing to build and build and build and get nothing from it. It's kind of, a lot of people have said this is kind of similar to the Juan Soto trade, only it's not as much of a haul that the Nationals got for Juan Soto, but you had basically your ace of your staff. You had him for a couple more years, and you shell him off to Texas for more prospects. I get the Nationals want to build from within, but it's kind of confusing why you get rid of your best pitcher the way that they did.
Well, yes, in a way. I think this is more of the Nationals reacting as well. They know what's going to happen next year with the potential lockout. And then having to figure out what the value is of Mackenzie Gore at that point. So was there some additional pressure added onto to do so? Well, yes, I think there was. Because there has been talks of the deal was going to, there was going to be a trade of Mackenzie Gore this year, of this offseason. So it was just a matter of where. And a lot of teams were inquiring about Gore because of what we've seen. Mackenzie Gore has shown to be a really special pitcher. He's had, some really good numbers, probably should be better numbers, obviously, if he wasn't playing on a team that was rebuilding as much as the Nationals have over the last few years. So the potential of what you see from him is really enticing. And I think that's when you look at the Rangers. And I say I'm more surprised by the Rangers making this move. Do I think it's a really good move for the Rangers? Absolutely, because you just added another young starting pitcher with, who's been a number 1 pitcher for a big league club to a team that you're going to need to kind of, not necessarily upgrade, but get a little bit younger in your rotation, depending on what happens with Jacob deGrom moving forward. Nathan Eovaldi is another one who's getting up there in age, and I hate saying that because I say I'm 35, and Eovaldi's, he'll be 36 next month, so I guess I'm right on it there. When I say I'm getting up in age, then he's getting up in age. So
don't worry, we'll trade him back to Boston so he can get traded to Atlanta and help out y'all's young core.
I mean, if only he pitches like Chris Sale has the last couple of years, then I'll take it. But I think as well, Mackenzie being, what is he? He's going to 20. He'll be 27 next month as well. So someone who's big league experience, who's been an ace for a big league club, that it takes pressure off of Jack Leiter. It takes pressure off of Kumar Rocker. It takes pressure off of some of these other young guys that you're hoping to continue to develop and trend to being a top-end rotation guy. You have the future ace already now. If you're able to extend him at that point too, now you're really set beyond Eovaldi and beyond deGrom when it's time to move on from both of those guys, and you have your ace in house already. So you're kind of jumping the gun of timing-wise to have an ace of your future by having an ace of your future now, but he doesn't have to be the ace right now. You have Eovaldi, who's been an all-star, who's been a top-end pitcher in the game for the last few years. You have DeGrom, which we know Jacob DeGrom, when he's healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. Even at this point, he's still considered, as far as the arm talent-wise, to be one of the top pitchers. So adding McKenzie to this deal or to this rotation, I would almost just make sure I would almost say this is comparable to what the Mariners have in their pitching staff and their pitching rotation. I think the difference is that the bullpen's better in Seattle, but if we're just talking about starting rotation wise, you have 3 aces, and a future pitcher that you're hoping to continue to develop to be a top end guy, and the same thing with Kumar Rocker. So very interesting as far as how making the move. Get shocked that they did, just because we know that they're trying to find ways to cut payroll. And I know McKenzie's not making top men money now, but at some point he's going to. So, the direction of where you're trying to go when it comes to that side of things, a little perplexing, but it makes sense on the talent-wise, on the field-wise, to get a younger pitcher, 26, 27 years old, that when the time is to move on from Jacob DeGrom, the time is to move on from Nathan Eovaldi. You give the pitching staff, the rotation, you hand it over to Mackenzie Gore, and you have your ace now.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, Globe Life Field has turned from a hitter's park to a pitcher's park now. So you're essentially going from a national stadium that's been notoriously a hitter's park to now a park that's become very beneficial for pitchers. I mean, again, ask Nathan Eovaldi, ask Jacob DeGrom, ask Jack Leiter last year how that's gone through with them. So, and remember, this Rangers rotation last year, this pitching staff was the best pitching staff ERA-wise in Major League Baseball. So now adding Mackenzie Gore on top of that, oh my God, the nightmare is back. The nightmare is here.
All you people. I didn't know Frank Gore got signed by the Rangers today. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I know. It came out of retirement and everything, Scott.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, Scott?
There's nothing going on in New England this week. Nothing at all. So
I was going to say, I know how a lot of the people up in New England are feeling after what happened today.
After what?
After what happened to Bill Belichick not getting first ballot Hall of Fame?
I'm pissed off. No, I'm not pissed off. I'm happy about it. I'm actually happy about it. I'm not a Belichick guy. I never was, never will be, but it was more.
Well, real quick, I don't know if you saw this. I know this is a baseball show and whatnot, but real quick, they said the voters used Deflategate and Spygate as reasons not to vote Belichick in. So does that mean Tom Brady's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer too then?
Oh no, Tom Brady's going to be a unanimous first ballot.
If you can't utilize one for one of them and not utilize the same thing for the other.
I agree.
I'm sure Roger Goodell is going to be in that meeting and be like, you know what? We're not letting this happen. We're not letting this happen.
This is almost why Belichick didn't get in. Alan, ask me a question.
What?
Ask me any question about football, Alan.
I know what he's doing.
I don't even know where.
All right. Hey, what was your view? What was your view, Dave?
We're on to Cincinnati.
I knew exactly where you were going.
I'm not answering that. I mean, that's the reason why he did not get in, I'll bet you, is because he was so short and he was so rude to the press. I think that's the reason why he didn't get in. If he was like he was in North Carolina for his whole Patriot career, I bet you he'd have been in. I bet you he'd have been in.
Well, he didn't meet his 24-year-old girlfriend towards the back end of his.
That too. That's the other reason.
I mean, if he had her for at least half of his run in New England, then he might be a more cheerful and happier guy.
Are we waiting for the statement from Jordan or Belichick to come out to say the Raiders don't know what they're talking about? Where they should be in, he should be in. I'm waiting for it. It's coming.
I'm sure she'll be the one. She'll through her publicist or something.
I mean, we've already gotten statements from like Patrick Mahomes and a couple other players too that have said something about it. So
I mean, is he the greatest coach in sports? Yes. Did he have the most talent a lot of times? Yes. Did he have guys that wanted to win? Yes. But I think it's all about how he handled press, people, everything. I mean, look what he did to the Patriot organization. Goes to North Carolina and says they're banned. They're banned. They can't come down and watch practice. They're banned. For what? Because nobody in the organization liked you, or hardly anybody liked you. The way you left was not great, and you're banning an organization from coming to scout your players to make a living for their family. What are you doing, Bill? I mean, come on. That's got to be a Jordan decision. And Bill said, all right, I'm with it. So again, that's another reason why I just don't like what he does.
Listen, I hate that's, and we said this last week or whatnot. I hate that the voters are turning or making things more personal than what they're really about when it comes to the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
Does his numbers indicate that he's a Hall of Famer? The answer is yes.
No question.
Then vote him.
No question.
Then vote him. Curt Schilling it's the same thing with Curt Schilling. You don't like his political views and his outspokenness. Okay, great. That's fine. You can hate the guy for all you want. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Yes, he does.
No question. No question.
In the story. So, unless it's a absolutely criminal, illegal thing that he did, that when it comes to the moral character side of things, then we can have a discussion on that. If it's not that, what did he do on the field? What did he do as a coach? And validate it from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Schilling's 11-3 in the postseason with a 2.6 ERA, 2 world championships. I mean, come on. I mean, how much better can a guy be in pressure situations to get himself to the Hall of Fame? But because
not only 2 world championships, Scott. Not only 2 world championships, Scott, of an upset, as essential upset over a Yankee squad in 01 with the Diamondbacks franchise that hadn't won anything yet, and then the first Red Sox World Series since the 20s. So it was breaking a curse. So,
and the other thing I'll tell you is it's not only about the wins; it's what he did in that World Series in 2004 for the Red Sox. It's what he did. This guy was dealing with a severe ankle injury. And whether people think it's fake or not fake or whatever, he went out on the mound and risked his future so they could win a World Series that year. He didn't care about 2005. Didn't care. That's in my mind, that's a Hall of Famer. And because his political views right now are not up to what people want them to be, they hold it against him. It's like he's one of the steroid guys to writers, and they say, he's not getting in. There's no way he's ever getting in. Not getting in. Well, there's some questionable guys in the Hall of Fame right now that you can look at and say, why are they in? Look at what they did after their career. Look what the other thing. I mean, it's just the writers hold grudges again. Oh, Jonathan lost his power. Oh, it's gone. The writers hold grudges against these guys. So if these guys right now, active guys, views are not up to par, they're going to hold it against them. They're just going to hold it against them. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
It's the same thing in every sport. Same thing in every sport.
Yep. And I'll tell you what the Rangers would be smart in doing, dovetail into something else. Sign Framber Valdez. Short contract. That would bury the Astros for sure. The Astros would be dead without if he signed with he should. There's rumors that Baltimore is might get him. If I was the Rangers, I'd jump on him. I'd say, "Here, we'll give you a 1-year prove-it deal, and let's see you prove that you're a good pitcher in baseball, and then we'll reward you after if you do." But here's a 1-year, $7 million deal to see what you still got. I don't know.
I would be intrigued by that if they did not make the trade for Gore already.
That's the thing. Jonathan, where do you think Framber Valdez is going?
I have no idea.
I just said Allen, Texas. Texas should sign him on a short prove-it deal.
I don't think that would fit though, because I think they want to utilize Leiter. They want to give Kumar the opportunity to continue to be in the big leagues in developing him. I think they want to give these young guys the opportunity to continue to be big league pitchers. Because again, as I kind of said a little, when on the Gore trade, you're running out of time with Evaldi. You're running out of time with DeGrom. So at some point, you got to get younger. You have to get to where you can utilize these young pieces a little bit more. And I'll say, the patience they've shown with Jack Leiter has been phenomenal, because I said it with us a couple years ago, they should have traded Jack Leiter. Well, the patience of it, and he's starting to figure it out. And now they have to understand, well, what we did with Kumar or what we did with Jack we're going to do the same thing for Kumar to see how his trajectory is. So I think they're going to want to give these young kids the opportunity to just kind of work their way through and figure out how to be a big league pitcher. If you bring Valdez in, it kind of hinders that, at least for one of them. I think Leiter's going to stay in the big leagues, but for Rocker, it's going to hinder him a little bit. So I don't think there's a fit. And I think that's what a lot of teams are going to look at Valdez, because he was a problem in Houston. We saw that. We saw how he ended in a lot of times. And it really escalated when we saw the intentional cross-up that he did. I think there's going to be a lot of due diligence on Valdez, but again, it's going to come down to what team just says I have to have an arm. So I don't have a team in mind.
I've heard the Orioles are exploring him a little bit to see if they can get him. I don't know if that works based on the team makeup. I agree with you. I don't know where he goes. I don't know what the heck he'd have been smart to sign very early with the team, because the fear was this was going to happen. I mean, run up and down the team. Could Cleveland sign him to a deal? I don't think so. I don't think he'd want to go to Cleveland, or Cleveland would want him. Minnesota, maybe. I don't know. He's gonna have to take a team friendly deal right now to go to a team.
Yeah,
I agree. At this point, he's going to have to. Nobody's throwing him big money at this point, so he's going to have to be a 1-year deal. Show us you're mature. Show us you can be a pitcher that can be a top end guy that doesn't lose his mind when it comes to it. So, I mean, I agree. I think the Orioles would be intriguing, because there is such a need in the rotation for Baltimore that it would give him a chance to help himself and help them. We see the Tigers. Did you see that?
That's possible. Maybe Cincinnati could use him as a fourth starter, a third starter. I don't. Milwaukee just traded Peralta. Do they explore him as a Peralta?
I don't know if Cincinnati. I don't know about Cincinnati. I don't think Francona would want to deal with him.
No, I agree. He already had headaches.
And then there's also another pitcher who, yes, he struggled a bit, but still can probably fix his stuff up a little bit, and that's Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen, I think, would be the better pickup, because I think he'd be more willing to take a team-friendly deal than Fromber would. Plus, you could still have him like on the back end of a rotation or something like that, and he would be okay.
If I was the Red Sox, I'd have gone after him, Zach Gallen, before I'd have traded not for Gray. I would have signed Suarez in front of Gallen. But I would have, if I was the Red Sox, I'd have explored signing him, because right now you're not looking at breaking the bank for him. But I didn't know he was a free agent. I thought he was back in Arizona. Is he a free agent?
No, he's still a free agent right now.
I'm shocked that nobody has even looked at him. Well, I have not heard his name one time.
You got plenty of guys on here. You got Chris Bassett. You got Bassett's like 37, so that might be the worry.
That's a short 1 year $5 million deal or something.
You got Zach Little is still on there. Patrick Corbin, he's up in the age. He's 36. I mean,
yeah, we've seen the last 5 years. It's been awful.
Giolito's still there. Lucas Giolito. Nestor Cortez, if anybody wants to take a shot on him. Jose Quintana, even though he's 37.
Giolito would be somebody that I'd be intrigued in too. That I would look at to possibly take a shot and see what he's got.
There's a lot of talk about Gallen returning to Arizona. There's talk about Chicago Cubs looking at him right now. There's talk about Orioles. Orioles are looking at a pitcher, whether it's Valdez or Gallen, whichever they can really afford. Which I think at that point it'll end up being probably Valdez. I know the Braves have kind of looked at wanting to add another starting pitcher too, and I don't know if Gallen kind of fits what they're looking for in it. Because again, if you're the Braves, you're just adding a number 5. You have 4.
I mean, there's Jordan Montgomery too. Jordan Montgomery is another solid lefty.
There's one team we're forgetting about for Zach Gallen. There's one team we're forgetting about Zach Gallen. You know who needs him desperately? The Dodgers. They desperately need him. They could use him. If
this was 3 years ago, Zach Gallen, probably.
Absolutely. No question. The teams would be throwing themselves at him probably. But, yeah. I mean, I agree. I think he goes back to Arizona, Jonathan. That's where I think he's going.
I think in my eyes, it's between going back to Arizona and Chicago Cubs. I think those are the two top options for Gallen. And I think it depends on the money situation on what side. But I mean, obviously, again, you go to the Cubs, you have a chance to contend. It could be a playoff team. You go back to the Diamondbacks, it's more about familiarity and opportunity. So there's definitely plus sides for both of them. But again, it's a matter of now where's the value most set for you. And I think at that point it probably could be Arizona. But I mean, Chicago adding him low risk, high reward type of contract for him could be really intriguing and give him a chance to reset himself and put up some decent numbers again and kind of supplant himself to be what he was a few years ago as a really top end type pitcher in the National League.
I know we all love the Cubs this year. We know that they're going to win the Central, I think, the NL Central. I believe they're going to. Do we think they're still one pitcher short or one bat short to compete with the Dodgers and Phillies?
Yes.
That's what I thought, too. It's been going through my mind the last couple of days. When I start looking at these teams, I'm like, the Cubs could be really good, but they're still short someplace.
They need a bat.
Yeah.
They need a bat in the outfield. I think adding Bregman does help with the production you lose from Tucker. Yeah. But you don't have an outfielder that you're essentially replacing Tucker with. So the lineup has been replaced, but that position out there, I don't think they really want Seiya Suzuki out in the outfield as mumuch. I think again utilizing him as a DH and getting him sometimes in the outfield might be best. Maybe they're confident that he can in that aspect. But again, Pete Crow Armstrong. Obviously, he's a top end outfielder, top end center fielder. Seiya Suzuki, you're kind of seeing him develop a little bit. You're seeing him develop better, and he put up some good numbers this past year. So I think maybe that's where they're confident and say, "Hey, we let Tucker leave because we know Seiya is getting more comfortable here in the big leagues." Getting the production replaced by Bregman on Tucker is probably where they'll say, "Hey, we're fine." But if I am the Cubs, I'm going to say we're in the outfield. Who in the outfield can help us? I think that would be where I would say for the Cubs because I think the infield is pretty good. I think you're set. You're pretty set on the infield with again Dansby and Horner, Bregman. I think Michael Busch as well at first base. So I think you're set in the infield. But I think getting one more bat in the outfield is going to be very crucial for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Out of the right fielders that are still available, he's got guys like Max Kepler, Mike Tauchman, Starling Marte, but he's up there in the age. Will Brennan's the youngest out of the group. He's 27. Bring back Jason Hayward, maybe for a one-time thing.
But the thing is, you need a guy that's going to get 500 at bats to replace Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those guys, for me, do it. There is a guy, Brendan Donovan, that's been on the trade block. I know it's a Cardinals-Cubs type of thing. But would you go after him? He might be the best name out there right now that you can go get in the trade market or that's available, that I've heard is available, that the Cardinals are trying to offload. He'd be better than any of those guys, I think. And he probably could hit 30 home runs in Wrigley in that ballpark if he plays every day. So that'd be the guy I would look at if I was the Cubs. Now, I know the Cardinals probably won't trade him to him. I know it would have to be like a 3-way deal where he gets thrown into but I don't know. None of the available right fielders do it for me right now.
I mean, yeah, I mean that might be a decent piece to add in Donovan if you can try to sway him away from St. Louis. I agree. I'm looking at it right now. You have Ian Happ in left field. You have Crow Armstrong in center, and currently at the moment they have Seo, who again, 32 runs, 103 RBIs. I think you'll live with that. I think you want to see a little bit more on the higher side of the average. You bat at 245. If he's closer to his career, batting 270, 275, and still putting up 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, you're ecstatic because that's essentially what you got from Kyle Tucker. 270, 280 average with around 25 to 30 home runs, closer to 100 RBIs. So if you can get that 270 average from Seo, well then hey, you're set, you're good. I mean, I think that bat kind of answers itself, but I think they really want to have him more. I think they're going to play him more in the outfield this year than what they really want him to. They want to put him in DH, but that's not an option for you. Well, hey, you're going to try to make sure you can get what you can out of Seiya Suzuki, and Bill, hopefully he can replicate that production. But again, a little bit more, like I said, a little higher inside of the batting average number, along with being able to just spread the ball around the field more. And I think cutting down some strikeouts off of that is also going to be very crucial for him. But if you can get that from him, you're going to be very happy in Chicago. So I think that's kind of where they look at it and say, well, we have a bat that's going to replace Kyle with decent to similar style numbers. So, maybe maybe they're happy about that. But I agree. I agree with you, Scott. I think one more outfield bat probably would make more sense for the Cubs going into the season.
Yeah, because not only do you need to look at the division now, but you need to look at the whole league in general. And the Dodgers are up top, and the Phillies are there, and the Braves are going to be back there, obviously, health-wise. So what can you do to beat two of those three teams? That's basically what you're looking at. You need to beat two of those three teams to get into the NLCS. So, I mean, Philly lost Suarez. That could be a hit for them, depending on how Nola and Wheeler come back this year for a full season. Their offense is intact, Phillies basically. The Braves are going to be healthier. I mean, I love Strider this year, second year off of the injury. I think he's going to have a great year this year. So I like the Braves where they're headed, and the Dodgers are the Dodgers, obviously. So, I mean, the Cubs are the fourth team in that mix. So, yeah, get another bat, guys. Do whatever you have to.
Me personally, I think it may take till the trade deadline for them to actually pull the trigger on another outfield bat, because it seems to me like they want to continue with the Seiya experiment in the outfield to see how it goes, and then once the time rolls around that becomes a question mark. It's like how do we match up with the rest of the contenders in the National League? That's when they pull the trigger and go get their outfield bet.
Well, once they trade for Corey Seager this season, it'll be all right.
No, Scott. He's going to Boston so that he can go to Atlanta the year after.
Oh, is that it? Oh, is this what we're talking about? Okay. I see how. No, Atlanta only takes our pitchers. They don't take our hitters.
Because we can't send him to Atlanta. Otherwise, we can't send him to Atlanta. Otherwise, we're taking 5 of their top 10 prospects.
Atlanta already has their eyes on Crochet, and Suarez, and a couple other guys. They don't care about our bats. They'll send us bats.
Crochet's following Chris Sale's path. Sale being a White Sox, then he was traded to the Red Sox, and then got traded to the Braves. Crochet was at the White Sox, got traded to the Red Sox. Here in a couple of years, when Sale does retire, Crochet becomes an Atlanta Brave.
Sale was a lefty. Crochet is a lefty. It all makes perfect sense. 90-mile-per-hour fastball plus, great off-speed stuff. Was in the Cy Young his first year in Boston. It's all perfect sense here. Here we go.
A lot of strange coincidences with this.
Isn't it? Sale and Crochet, same things. You write them down on a piece of paper. It's eerily similar how the path to Atlanta for both of them was. So,
well, let's see, Alan, how y'all traded. Y'all traded 5 prospects for a player. Let's see how this works out for you guys after what y'all did to acquire Mackenzie Gore. let's see how this pans out for you guys.
Yeah.
He will
Where's he
never
slotted in? Number 3? Is he the third?
probably right now, yes.
Evaldi,
If I
DeGrom, and Gore. Is that what we're looking at?
I'd slot Gore 2.
2.
Have Evaldi, Gore, DeGrom. Just again, I think at this stage, DeGrom is he the ace that we know him to be? What we know? I don't think so. I think you just kind of move him down a little bit, and you get high quality production. But I don't think you're going to get you're not getting the Jacob DeGrom of old anymore. But so I think you just kind of move him down one slot, let him be the third starter, and say, hey, we got a really high end number 3. Great, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then Leiter would be 4, and you can either put Jacob Latz or Kumar Rocker at 5.
What am I looking? Roto Champ I'm looking at right now. They have, the DeGrom, Evaldi, Gore, Leiter, Jake Latz, whoever that is. So it must be a prospect that's going to make the team.
No, we got him he's a veteran, I think. I forgot where he played last year. I think it was Miami. One of those guys we got from Miami, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, your lineup's not that bad, Alan. Now the projected lineup that I'm looking at, if Nimmo pans out for them, they could be better than people think. So,
yeah, like I said, I didn't expect it to happen. I'm kind of excited to see what happens now.
The West is wide open. The West is wide open in the American League. I think.
No kidding.
I think, unless the Athletics, the Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas.
Honestly, the only team that I don't see winning it this year, Scott, is the Angels.
Somebody said
the other 4 teams are going to be competing for either wild card spots or for the division, I think.
I was listening to a podcast. Now, let me run this by you. This guy that was on this podcast, I forget who it was, said that the Astros will finish 10 games below 500 this year. Do we buy that?
No, I'm not saying they're below 500. I could see them being an 80 to 85 win team. Being in that realm. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're a 69 to 72 win team.
No.
I think that's too big of a drop. There's still a lot of talent. Again, Altuve and Alvarez is healthy, coming back. You got a lot of talent still in this team, even in the pitching side of things. I mean, there's questions in the pitching side, but there's still some talent in it that they can make some runs here and there and be able to challenge. Will they finish it like we've seen in years past? I don't think so. I think last year was kind of that the last hurrah opportunity. If they didn't get it, they failed. I think we're going to see them take a step back, but I'm not going all the way to where they fall off the cliff and be, like I said, a team in the 60s and low 70s. No.
I agree. I can't see them being 75 and 85 or something like that. No, I don't see it.
I mean, if they are, it would be pretty surprising given their resume the last few years. I mean, we've been calling for it for years, but it just hasn't happened. Anytime you think the Astros are finally going to have their downfall, they just figure out ways to win, especially late in the season. So until that day comes, like we've said on this show before, until that day comes, I'll believe it when I see it.
Do I think they win the division? No. Do I think they're going to be in the wild card mix? Yes, I do. I actually do. I think they'll be in it.
I do think this Mackenzie Gore trade for the Rangers does bump them up to where they can really test the Mariners. I think pitching wise, if all stay healthy, I can see that the pitching rotation, at least the rotation side, can really challenge the Mariners. I think it's that good. Yeah. Again, it just depends on how healthy DeGrom stays and also how healthy Evaldi stays. But I mean, as far as on paper wise, 1, 2, 3, Gore, Evaldi, DeGrom can really challenge what the Mariners do have as well in their rotation.
And remember, this is a rotation last year that had both Patrick Corbin and a couple others that were thrown on it, and they were they had the best ERA in baseball. collectively as a unit last year, and now it just got better with now a healthy Evaldi coming back, and add a young Mackenzie Gore to that rotation.
Do we also think the teams are going to make decisions based on what the lockout brings? Mm-hmm. Do we think teams are going to give more up if they're in the mix? Let's use an example. The Red Sox. They have two really good young pitchers in their organization. If they are in the mix to win the division or get into the top wild card or whatever, do we think a team like them gives up more to make sure that they get into the postseason and a chance to go to the World Series because of the lockout that's going to happen in 2027?
For a player,
to get a bat, say Bregman was on the market for whatever reason, do the Red Sox give up a little bit extra to get a bat that could make the difference between them getting to the World Series and them being just a playoff team based on the lockout that's going to happen? My answer is yes, I think so. Because we don't know when baseball is going to return if they lock out. Because there's a Grand Canyon gap between owners and players. So
I'll even add to that, Scott. There's a Grand Canyon gap between owners, between players, some owners, and the other half of owners too. Like the owners are split on some of these things as well. Like there's many gaps right now that in these talks that the owners are not all in sync with each other as well as with the players too. But to answer the question though, I could see that being the case as long as it's the player who's on a 1 year. I think we can see guys who are on a 1 year deal who have 1 year left on their contract. That teams will overpay for that a little bit more than what they have in past, because they know, well, once that contract's off the books, I don't need to worry about it with the CBA issue coming up, and then once the CBA the new CBA does, get signed and agreed upon and kick in. Well, depending on how the structure of the future structure of Major League Baseball is, well, not only did that contract coming off the books help me, but it also made me a little bit more money. Yeah. Because now you go into obviously the TV contracts that are going to be kicking in on this new CBA. Whatever happens with this, salary cap talks or whatnot, can also help these teams with that deal, that player contract coming off their books. So I think you could see teams take more risk on 1 year deal guys at the deadline and pay more for. But if you have a player who is usually on a lesser value, a longer type of deal, teams are going to really undercut and lowball those kind, because they're going to basically tell, hey, do you really want to have this guy sitting on a contract that you're paying for, with the CBA being, going to be new CBA and new financial structure and new financial system? Do you really want to take on that guy? I can give you something. It won't be what you think, but I can give you something. We'll take it. We'll handle it. I think that's what you're going to see is teams, as we get to the deadline, they will raise the price up on 1 year deals, because how beneficial it'll be when the lockout starts going into the new financial system, with low ball play deals for guys who are on longer contracts than what has normally been done in the past.
I wonder if owners will not field calls from other owners that they deem they're against, what their thoughts are for the lockout. That'd be interesting to see this year, to trade a player that they're trying to get rid of.
Apparently, we like trading with the NLE, so I'm sure the Braves are going to come a call in here sometime.
But Alan, what I'm saying is, say the Rangers ownership and the Mets ownership are divided on the issues in the contract for lockout. The Rangers call the Mets to try to make a deal. Do the Mets not even field the call because they disagree on the lockout stuff? It's a possibility that
essentially they've already made a deal, so.
No, I know,
technically, but
what I'm saying,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It'd be really interesting to see if the Rangers and the Mets don't agree on this lockout cap language, salary cap, or whatever. If the Mets say, nope, don't even take a call from him, we're not trading with them. We're move on. I'd be really interested.
I mean, it kind of also deals with, like, what if it's like two teams in the same division that are like needing help, but at the same time, it's like we don't like you, plus you're on the other side of the fence. I mean,
Click.
the whole reason why Cal Raleigh is not MVP is because of the AL West voters.
Click.
Let's be honest here. The whole reason why Cal Raleigh didn't win MVP is because of the Rangers, Astros, and the A's.
If the owners, if 18 owners are against 13 or 12 other owners, that's a humongous problem to get a contract, get a new CBA done. Humongous, because these owners aren't going to agree to anything together. There's no way. So I don't know when baseball comes back. I'm really afraid. I'm very afraid that it could be 2 years before we see a baseball game again. That's my fear.
You're not far off because again, there's even more. And I kind of sent this to you as a message. Like again, they're even trying to affect it where the Major League Baseball is one of the. It's very interesting because they spent the last 5 years at least preparing for this lockout by bargain discounting minor league baseball.
Yep.
Utilizing a partnership with the Atlantic League in a small investment that really is so minuscule financially that it's a blip on their expense sheet. And now they're trying to, and I kind of put this to you guys, message. Now they're trying to have conversations with college baseball and say, we want college baseball to essentially be a form of minor league baseball for us, which I can understand because college baseball is probably the most talented it's been in its history right now.
Oh, no question.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
You have pitchers in college baseball are throwing 95 like it's nothing now, 98 miles an hour. I mean, the LSU Tigers this year, I think from what I saw, they have 6 pitchers that throw 99 or faster. College guys. They're throwing 99 to 100 miles an hour. And so, and every pitcher every pitcher on their staff throws 95.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it and saying you're basically, and Jay Johnson and a lot of these coaches are being told, they're getting told by people in Major League Baseball, how do we utilize you in development more?
Yeah.
Because they're also, these guys are paid now. Again, even college baseball players are paid now. So, like, it's now by Major League Baseball basically saying, well, hey, we have so much talent. All these big name programs, they have facilities that are better than single A facilities and probably better than some double A facilities. They're getting the training and the aspect and the learning curve already done. How do we utilize these guys to the best of our ability as Major League Baseball to get these guys to be as prepared as possible when it's their turn to come to professional baseball? Because I think, as I said this to you guys, one of the conversations is through the CBA talks by the owners is they want to reduce the MLB draft again. The MLB draft was 40 rounds when I was in college.
Yes, well, I remember that. I remember those.
And now it's down to 20. They want to drop it down to 10. They want to drop it down to 10 rounds. And
is this going to be the NBA draft? Are we going to go 3 rounds? Is this going to be the NBA draft soon? Where we're going to go like 2 or 3 rounds and that's it? And call it?
I mean, we got to get to the NFL part of it first. Get to the 7 rounds, but
what's going to alter then too is they're wanting to where high school kids are no longer draft eligible. Well, now you have to go to college. That's what they want. They don't want high school kids coming in the draft because what's going to end up happening? Here's a snowball effect. When COVID hit and that previous CBA came through and they reduced the draft from 40 to 20, well, remember, they also reduced the number of minor league teams. They got rid of a lot of minor league teams.
They did.
They utilized COVID and what COVID provided. COVID was such an experiment for the world and even in sports. What they found out too is, hey, you know what? We have our spring training site in Florida and Arizona. We can call it development leagues for guys who are drafted. We're not even going to send them to rookie ball. We're going to send them to the spring training complex, and they're going to play there for 3 months, for 2 to 3 months. We have the development, everything that we need at our disposal there. By the way, if we're in Arizona, it's the furthest drive we have is a 40-minute drive. If we go to, and if we were in Florida, it's a 2-hour drive, but it's a drive. You're not flying. So we're saving money in that point as well on top of it.
Right.
What's going to end up happening, I think, is they're going to cut minor league teams again. Well, where do you cut most? Well, you already kind of got rid of all the rookie level teams. You're going to cut single A. That's what's really next.
So basically, what you're saying, Jonathan, is that the only thing they're going to have is MLB, AAA, AA, and that's
because
it.
college baseball is rivals already.
No question. I agree.
And I won't say all of college baseball, but again, the top LSU,
LSU, Tennessee,
Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, TCU. I'll throw TCU in there. Oregon State, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina. Like those are all top level college baseball programs that rival comparison to what single A baseball is. Is it the same as single A? No. But what's going to make it what is? It's to Major League Baseball. It's cheaper.
Yeah,
it's cheaper.
Yeah, true.
And you basically say, hey, NCAA, I'm going to write y'all a check. So every team's going to get a little bit of money potentially, just as an investment by Major League Baseball. That's going to make this more worthwhile for you guys on our end, and say you're now a piece of our development through Major League Baseball now.
Yeah.
And in the process, we're going to cut more minor league teams because we've reduced the draft. We don't have as many players. We can't, and we have college baseball and we have our spring training sites. That's all we need. And when they're ready, they go to AA.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes all the sense in the world to MLB is to cut the single A and go with the colleges. If it pans out, if they can agree to it. But I mean, Major League Baseball screwed up stuff in the past. So,
but if you're the players too, you can't that's another point.
That's a divide issue.
You can't agree to
no.
You're costing opportunities.
Yep, no question, because that's where they start in rookie ball, then they go up to single A, then it's double or triple A, and then it's the major. Yeah, I agree. You're gonna rob kids of jobs, so to speak.
But the argument being made is this: well, hey, college baseball players make more money than single A guys. Okay, well, that's a fair point, but now you've reduced the number of opportunities by these guys who want to go to play professional baseball, who are going to play professional baseball, but they can't now. You robbed them their opportunity, despite if they're making more money in college. So what? They're making more money in college. That's great. What's the end goal? The end goal is go play professional if you're good enough to do so.
Yeah,
At this point, I would never. If we're at this stage, I would never have made it to professional baseball. I wasn't looked at as much. I wasn't scouted enough. I wasn't out there enough. The 40 rounds and rookie level and single A level is what got me to where I got. So if you're someone who again was overlooked by the system, I wouldn't have made it then. So this is something in a way for me personal. Because there's other guys, there are other Jonathan Grishmans out there who were overlooked, who didn't get the scout opportunities to get scouted, and grinded and worked their entire life for the opportunity. And it took one guy to notice it, signed them, and say, "Hey, you're going to go single A now." But if we cut that out, now we take those opportunities away. So I hope that's another point. As much as we know the salary cap talk is a breaking point that'll never be agreed upon, I hope the players sit back and fight for these minor leaguers and these future minor leaguers and opportunities to say, no, you're not taking this away from these guys. We've all been there, we've all grinded, we've all worked, we've all shed blood, we've shed tears. You're not taking away these opportunities for these kids because this matters.
Like I said, the divide between the owners, and as you said, owners and players, it's like the Grand Canyon right now. It can't get almost can't get any bigger than it is right now. And I think the two biggest issues are what you just mentioned and the salary cap. And until the owners can get together on this and the owners can sell something to the players and they'll never buy a salary cap. They'll never buy it. Yeah. So
I think to your point, Scott, too, the owners have to be able to agree with each other first before they can properly negotiate with the players. Because like you said, if they're divided within each other, then there's no way anything is happening anytime soon.
Because because 17 owners say they want a salary cap, but 13 to 15 say, no, we don't want a salary cap. And now they can't agree to salary cap or no salary cap. So how can you go to the players when you're divided and say, okay, this is the proposal, and then the players say, okay, we can work with that and do it, and then you go back to the owners, and the owners, 15 of them say, nope, it's not good enough, because that's generally what's going to happen in these negotiations. The committee is going to go back to the owners and say, okay, the players said they can work with this stuff, and then they vote on it, the owners, and it's not unanimous. It's 17 yes, 15 no, and then you got to hammer out a deal with you can't do it. I mean, you can't do it. You can't go to the players until you're in united front. And same thing with the players. The players can't go to the owners until they're united front, which they are. Obviously, they are. But again, baseball will not have a salary cap ever have a salary cap.
Well, no, and I threw this out there because I've had actually people come up to me. I've actually had people, again, being a small little town, come up to me in the gym and ask me about what's going on. And I say a salary cap not only will never happen, but a salary cap does not fix the problem.
That's right.
It doesn't, because you're telling, again, as we said, and I said this to you guys, when you have a salary cap at the ceiling, there has to be a floor.
Exactly.
So you're telling the Rays, you're telling the Pirates, you're telling the A's, you're telling all the Marlins.
You have to spend $142 million.
You have to spend $120 to $150 million, whatever the number is going to be. The floor is $120 million. You're going to spend $120 million in your payroll, and they're going to go to Major League Baseball, the other owners, and Rob Manfred, and say, guys, we only made $25 million in revenue. Like, that's our total number, and I'm just spitballing, and I don't have the exact number. But look, we didn't make as much money as the other owners. We're not equal revenue sharing.
That's right.
We're making money what we make, while everybody else is making money what they make. So if you're gonna now, I'm okay with the salary cap and salary floor. If I'm the Marlins or whatnot, I'm okay with the salary cap and salary floor if I get equal revenue to what sharing based off of what the Dodgers and Yankees and Red Sox and Cubs make in revenue, and we take all of our money, put it in a pot, we share it that way. Okay, great. Which Dodgers aren't going to want to do that. Yankees are going to. It's their own networks. It's their own TV contracts. It's their own revenue that they bring in. They're not wanting to share it. It's a regional sport. So now you're telling the Marlins you have to spend the 120, the 100, whatever the floor is. They're only making 25, 30 million. It means they're going to be in the red spending money. They're going to be in the red. Well, that's not a good business.
Essentially, what those teams have to do is go to Major League Baseball and say, you need to cut us a check for $115 million. Because we don't have it. We don't have it. So you got to, Rob, you have to cut us a check for $115 million. And now Major League Baseball has taken a little bit of a loss. Then they have to go to these other owners and say, okay, you have to give. And the other owner's like, what are you, crazy? We're not giving them money. We're in competition with them. Why would we give them money? No way. So this is where the divide starts. And it keeps growing and growing. Is that now you have to go to the Yankees and say, hey, you got to cut a check for $72 million. Hey, John Henry in Boston, you got to cut a check for $72 million. And then down the line. You're not going to do that. Teams like the Reds, Pirates, Marlins, White Sox, those teams, Rockies, those teams, they don't make it. Rockies and White Sox especially probably not making a dime. If they're probably making some, but I'm exaggerating when I say that. Then they have to. Then the rest of baseball has to carry them. So this is where I was on Keith Engel's show, and I brought this point up, Alan. Major League Baseball might have to cut down to 24 teams to find a common ground. They might have to get rid of the Rockies. They might have to get rid of the White Sox. They might have to get rid of some of these teams. They won't, but to make it more competitive, if they cut down to 24 teams, then all these teams are going to have superstar teams, so to speak, because this talent's got to go someplace. So he says they should cut 5 teams out of Major League Baseball. I don't think they'll cut any. They're going to grow. They're going to add more teams before they cut them. That's a problem. That's a problem. Because now you have to disperse the talent all over those teams. It's a problem. So I hate it. I hate baseballs in this situation right now. Absolutely hate it.
Yeah, the whole thing is just like, because the whole thing, it's like you've got people who are still kind of in that delusional phase, saying, "Oh, they can work something out. Oh, they can do this. They can do that." When you've got guys like us who are just like, "Yeah, guys, it's happening." Like, there's no way it's not happening at this point.
Alan, for people out there that believe baseball will save itself, you're delusional right now. Baseball will not save itself. They won't. They're going to a lockout. As Jonathan said a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, they are definitely going to a lockout, and there isn't anything anybody can do about it right now. They are going to a lockout, and I don't know if we'll have baseball for the next season, 2 seasons, whatever it's going to take. These owners don't care about – some of these owners don't care if they have baseball or not. They don't. And that's a sad thing to say, but they don't. So get ready for it. I don't know. Red Sox owner John Henry, he's got a soccer team. He's got a racing team. He's got other things that will keep him busy. He doesn't care if there's baseball or not. Doesn't care.
If you're Tony Clark, and you understand it, because again, even more so, some of these teams they want the deferred money done. Again, you can't do it if you don't make the money to make. Again, as I said to you guys, and we talked about it, Shohei Ohtani's contract is already paid for.
Yes, it
the
is.
money is. They've made their money back. It's sitting in escrow right now, and they're waiting.
They signed a contract.
They're just sitting and waiting for when he retires, when his contract up and he does retire and he moves on, that they can start paying. It's already there. They're not there. So every dollar they make at this point on Ohtani is profit. Right. Because it's already paid. So, like the deferred money aspect, I think a lot of these owners want gone because it just doesn't make sense for them to be able to do it. They can't do it. It doesn't make sense for them to do it because you're not profiting at the same rate as the Dodgers and Yankees and Red Sox. So I think that's another aspect. If you're Tony Clark and you understand that there is a break right now between owners, you need to find a way to press it as hard as possible and be able to get as much pressure put on these owners to where it does start benefiting you, which is what the old union used to understand and used to utilize very well when Major League Baseball Players Union was the most powerful union in the country. And we're not even close to that anymore. So if Clark is smart, he understands what he understands, where they're at and how they can utilize that information and be able to just start pushing and pushing and pushing and getting those owners as further apart as possible when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yep, it's where we're headed now. It's unfortunate, but it's where we're headed. Man, it's to think, just enjoy it while we can, I guess, because there's nothing really as fans that we could do about it. Is just kind of watch this year and just let it go by.
There's going to be a big gap in summer between the time the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs end and the time football returns. There's going to be a huge gap. I mean, you got to get ready for it now because it's coming. Unfortunately, I don't like to say that, but again, it's coming. It's just so sad what owners and Major League Baseball have done to the game. It's just really is. Hey, Kia.
Hello. Hope you're enjoying the show.
Yep. I don't like it. I don't like it for baseball. I don't like it for the future. I don't like it for anything. I think it's a hit to players more so than anybody than single A, double A, and triple A players because they're the future of the game right now. And guys that get drafted, they're the future, and now they're going to walk into something that who knows if they're going to want to walk into. Guys may just bail out of baseball because they don't want to deal with what the new system is going to be, unfortunately.
I will say this. If we do have a lockout, again, obviously we will have a little bit, depending on how long it is. you're looking at potentially, college baseball next year.
Yeah.
Being probably one of the greatest talents kept. Because obviously there's no draft to go to. You're not going to have guys entering the draft in college baseball. They're going to stay and they're going to make money and they're going to continue to just go to school and do it. You're talking about guys who are top end first round picks and whatnot, staying in college. And college baseball is going to be absolutely booming in 2027 when that does happen. So it's very, very interesting. And I think right now, I'll say this. What happens this summer at the end of the college baseball season, if we see guys basically just say, I'm not pull my name out, even who are sophomores and juniors, pull my name out. I'm not entering the draft because from what everybody tells me, there's not going to be much of a season, if a season at all. I'm going to go ahead. If we see that in June, there's your story. There it is. There's your proof of what 2027 is truly going to look like. Because if they're being advised to stay in college and not go to the draft, the consensus talks throughout is there is no season in 2027. It's not going to at all. If you have guys still go to the draft and go get drafted in Major League Baseball, then you will see. Then you're like, okay, there's hope, because that's what people are talking about more than anything else. But if these guys are not leaving, it's being told to them there's no professional baseball, there's no Major League Baseball when it's all set.
Agreed. Oh, Scott have to leave, I guess. Damn, I was gonna ask him. I mean, I get it. I get it. That a lot of people are stressed out about this right now. I totally get it. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck for us as fans. It's gonna suck for the players. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Because, and it's unfortunate too, because it seemed like baseball was starting to get a little bit of traction. A lot of popularity was starting to come back a little bit. I mean, you mentioned it. We mentioned it last year with college baseball, how popular that's starting to get again. So it's kind of a bad situation right now with MLB and the players and everything going through what they're going through. Again, enjoy the 2026 season while you can, because it seems like we're not going to get baseball after it. We do have the World Baseball Classic coming up, though, so that should kind of lighten everybody's mood a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's going to – how we talked about it last week. I think this is the most hyped the World Baseball Classic has been. I know it was really hyped up last year, but after USA Japan and how that final went, and now you have again those two teams are favored to meet again in the finals. With, as I said, the only pitching matchup I want for a World Baseball Classic final is Paul Skeens versus Shohei Ohtani. That's it. That's all. I don't want Yamamoto. I don't want Tarek Skubal. I want Paul Skeens and Shohei Ohtani in the final. That is the coup de grace for the World Baseball Classic, to absolutely just throw itself a big parade. But again, I think overall it's a really hyped up this year. I think and it should be. I think I know there's some guys who are not being allowed to play. I know, I think Ellie De Cruz is not playing. I know a lot of the Astros players are not allowed to play. They kind of flagged them to not play. So you're missing some superstars that are out there that are not in this. But I think at the end of the day, there's still a ton of talent that around the world that's going to be competing in this. You're going to get a good exhibition of where professional baseball is in the world. And I think, again, with how hyped up it is and how exciting a lot of people are about it, it's gonna be it's worth every penny to watch. And like I said, if the final is USA and Japan and we get that pitching matchup that we want, oh my goodness, it is going to break the internet. If you get it, it'll be on every talk show and every sports show around the world will be talking about that pitching matchup. So I am excited about the World Baseball Classic. I'm excited about how it's going to look and how it's going to be. And again, if we get the matchup that I'm desiring for, I am all in, tuned in for that 100%.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, Jonathan, you mentioned you had your first game coming up here this week. What else you got going on the rest of the week?
Yeah, so we're like I said, we're going to be at home tomorrow. We have a doubleheader tomorrow, doubleheader on Thursday. We're supposed to have some bad weather this weekend, so our games got moved up. So where our 2026 season opener is tomorrow. Very excited and as disappointed as we were that we didn't get to play last weekend. Obviously, again, weather was a big factor for that. So we get to step on the ball field tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing how the boys swing the bats and go out and compete. And I think we're going to do a really good job in handling business. I actually am in the process of finishing sending out scouting reports to the boys right now. I'm sure they're waiting on me right now since it's almost 8:40, almost 9 o'clock now. They're waiting on receiving them. But we'll have those out here pretty soon for me to send them out to them. But other than that, it's after these next 2 days of games, I got to go back and do some recruiting. I got to get caught up. I'm a little behind right now. It's been this part of the beginning part of the season has already been kind of biting me in the butt a little bit. So I got to get caught up with a lot of things with a lot of these guys and a lot of recruits I got to follow up with and got to stay in touch with them. And other than that, we're full speed ahead into the season, staying warm. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold tomorrow. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer tomorrow.
Little bit.
Well, I would tell you what the high is, and you may cuss me out. So I don't know if I really want to do that, but
if it's in the 70s, probably
not the 70s. No, we're not there yet. Actually, that is that tomorrow? Well, actually, let me double check. I think that might be Thursday. It might be in the 70s on Thursday. Let me double check here.
Our weekly weather report is brought to you by
here down in Beeville, Texas. Yeah, it's supposed to be 72 degrees on Thursday. Sorry, Alan.
What I'd give for
that's why I moved. That's why I moved to Beeville, Texas, was to get away from the cold weather that all you guys out there are enduring. So
I was going to say, if you're in Dallas right now, you'd probably be still dealing with ice.
I would be, but his thing, it was this one. We didn't even have workouts this one because the gym that we work out here in town doesn't have it's not insulated. So like it was this morning. It was 24 degrees, feeling like it was 18. So we couldn't even go work out this morning. So it was cold here. We had cold weather here. All right, we just don't like cold weather. I don't like cold weather. We didn't.
14 degrees in Pittsburgh.
I'm sorry that's what you're dealing with. I am praying for you guys to stay warm and not have any issues with power or whatnot. But y'all can keep that cold weather up north. I'm enjoying my warm weather, especially here in the next probably few weeks. It'll be back in the 70s and 80s. I'll be very happy. Y'all can keep all that cold weather up north. I am happy it's gonna be down here down south. But again, so we had a high of 52 degrees today. So could you say I'm a whiny, that I'm whining about it being cold when it was 52 degrees? Sure, you can. You can absolutely say that. Am I a big baby when it comes to the cold weather? 100% you can tell me that.
Well, I mean, you're from Louisiana. It's never that cold out there.
Exactly. I'm a big baby when it comes to it. I am a Southerner to the core. You can keep your 14 degrees and snow up in Pittsburgh, Kia. I don't want anything to do with that.
I mean, yeah, I grew up in Oklahoma, but I was also like a couple hours from the Rocky Mountains, so it's like not that far.
I went to school in Missouri, and I had snow every year when I was in Missouri. I was miserable, absolutely miserable. No, I can't. I couldn't. Was it cool to see the first time? Sure. Was it miserable to see the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and so on? Absolutely, it was. So. I'm not doing cold. I'm not doing cold weather. I'm not doing snow. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to keep my happy little ass out here in South Texas in the South and hopefully stay warm a lot sooner than you guys up north.
My favorite thing always to see is when I was in college up in the Panhandle still, we got recruits from California and Florida. And them seeing snow for the first time and turning back to being 5 years old again, it was great.
Oh, my Puerto. It's funny. My Latino ball players, my guys from Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Dominican. They're walking. They're literally walking around like in Eskimo gear right now because they think it's so cold. It's 40 degrees. As the day went on, 40 to 45 and almost 50 degrees, and they're dressed as little Eskimos walking around because again, from Puerto Rico it doesn't get cold. So I mean, there's just a culture shock right now with it, and I'm like, yeah, guys, welcome to the United States. This is what we do. Even here in South Texas, we get a little bit of cold weather.
Unless you live in the far southeast coast or in the west coast, you have to deal with cold weather.
Yeah,
essentially,
pretty much.
Well, of course, for me, nothing tomorrow. I believe we'll be doing Lock It In this weekend. Not sure what it'll be since there's no NFL, but we'll be probably talking a lot more college basketball with that show, and other sports as well. I know we'll be doing In the Hoop on Friday, which is our NBA show. And then instead of doing a Sunday night post game for the Super Bowl, we're actually going to be doing a live watch along of Super Bowl 60. So that's going to be fun. Which, by the way, I have to ask, since you're here now, and thank God Scott's not in here for you to give him hope. Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl 60.
Don't care.
He said don't care.
I gave you the answer last week. I gave you the same answer. I don't care. I don't. Like, am I going to watch it? Yeah, I'll watch. Am I going to watch it reluctantly? Yes, I will. But
same here.
But because this is a sports podcast show, and I am a professional, I want to ensure that I provide my professional opinion to the masses and not leave you hanging, Alan. I'm going to say I for sure hope Patriots win. Here's the thing. I can't forgive the Seahawks for what they did to my Saints all those years ago with Marshawn Lynch's run. I can't. I hate that. I hate that team. I hate what they stand for. I hate their little attitude about themselves and whatnot. They think that they're high and mighty about who they are, and we're the 12th man. We're the loudest stadium in football and whatnot. Like, y'all stop. Y'all barely were relevant for a majority of your history. Your relevancy in your football history is almost equal to my franchise, New Orleans Saints. All right. The only thing is y'all been to Super Bowl a couple more times than we have, but y'all haven't really done anything as far as y'all's history. Y'all not really a historical franchise. Y'all just act like it. So I hate their attitude. I don't like it and who they think they are, where they think they belong, and whatnot. So as much as I got I think it's a little bit of a different. I'll say different as far as New England Patriots because it's not the Belichick era. It's not Tom Brady at quarterback. It's a little bit of a fresher feel. New England Patriots as a whole. So I won't be reluctant to say that I'll root for the Patriots in that aspect. So I just can't stand the Seahawks. I can't stand them at all. So I'll even give you a score: Patriots 31, Seahawks 27.
Yeah, I would pick Seattle too, if not for the fact that their city does not like us for obvious reasons. You talk about their irrelevancy. That's why they lost their NBA team. So sorry, guys. Not sorry. I mean, the Sam Darnold story is kind of nice. Going from a third overall pick, being in a Jets organization that's terrible, to working his way back to now getting Seattle to a Super Bowl. That's a nice story, but I like the Patriots too, just because I'm not a fan of the Seahawks either. They leave a bad taste in my mouth every time I have to watch them.
But I think you have to look into the same aspect of Drake May, coming in with year 2. Is this year 2 or 3 for Drake May?
2. Year 2.
Year 2 in the era of replacing Tom Brady and and you go to a Super Bowl with a new coach too. Like, I think you got to give credit where credit's due of what he's been able to achieve in development throughout in the first 2 years of his career. And again, it's not easy replacing a legend of your franchise at that position, because we talk about the Yankees still trying to find a shortstop to replace Derek Jeter when he retired, and they've failed at it so far. Every opportunity they've gotten that's close to, and Drake May comes in and steps up and says, "Hey, I can play quarterback, and do my job and lead my team to a Super Bowl." Your Cowboys have not had the same success replacing Troy Aikman. The Broncos have not had the same success replacing John Elway. The Dolphins have not been able to have success replacing Dan Marino. So like when you replace a legend of your team, of your franchise, it doesn't always work out when in how your quarterbacks respond. Drake May's done a great job. I don't know. We're not putting him in. I'm not putting him in the category of the top quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. But he's done a great job in what he's done to lead his team to a Super Bowl. So I think you tip your hat to that. And I agree. Sam Darnold kind of going from flop of New York, bounced around, gets his second chance opportunity in Minnesota, and then goes and does what he does this year in Seattle. A wonderful story in itself. But I think for what Drake May's done in his second year, in replacing Tom Brady and leading his team to a Super Bowl, I think you have to give a lot of credit to that.
Mm-hmm. Especially in just his second year in the league, like you mentioned before. So, and going through a whole new coaching regime change in the offseason as well. That can be hard for some guys to go through.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So absolutely. And credit Vrabel. I think we lost sight of just how good of a coach Mike Vrabel is. Just because the last couple of years in Tennessee were not great, but he was a really good coach in Tennessee. And I'm sure Sam will even sit back and go, "Man, I kind of wish we had Mike Vrabel."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, anything else, Jonathan, before we end off tonight?
Yeah, all good from here.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining again. Shout out to everybody on Rec Room Sports, who we are now a part of as well. Everybody's still on Let's Talk Sports. Spotify, can't forget to shout out Spotify, even though we don't do Spotify anymore. But gotta keep doing that. But yeah, we should be back next week. Probably going to be another Tuesday, depending on how my work schedule goes. So I don't know. It seems like Tuesday's better for us anyway. It looks like.
Well, here soon Tuesdays we'll have game days on our Tuesdays, so you may have a few more weeks of Tuesday nights available for me, and then that it's got to go back to Wednesday.
On hiatus again. Yep. There we go. Lovely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be back next week. Until then, love y'all. Stay safe. Have a great night. Bye, Spotify.